Hey folks, welcome back. Got a good one for you this week. I've got an hour-long interview with Dave Loosley, current Magic Circle close-up champion. He's going to talk to us all about that, about his win at the Magic Circle and his preparation for that act. He's going to talk to us about his weight loss journey. Dave's lost as much weight himself as I've been trying to lose in the whole year during this challenge. He's going to discuss his creativity process as it applies both to his cabaret show and to the effects that he produces and releases. He's going to discuss how he goes about getting those products released and why. It's a really interesting interview. I think you should watch it and enjoy it. It's going to be a good one. Also, this could be it. This could be the one. This could be the week where I finally film and release a review of Maximum Entertainment so we can move on from that book to the next one in 2 weeks. Who knows? It could happen. I'm as excited as you to find out. Let's go see. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it's been a pretty bad week. I've done some kind of ouchie to my lower back. My car's had huge chunks of itself replaced. I've had all of my bills come at once, including one for a house I haven't lived in for 3 years, which is a little bit worrying. I've had computer problems, and I've just been insanely busy. It's been a disaster of a week. Practice has fallen by the wayside. The exercise hasn't happened. Even the diet has completely crumbled. This is the kind of week where before this channel existed, I would have just given up for good. I would have used this week as an excuse to just forget all of this. But there are currently 715 of you watching. And I don't want to let you down if you're watching to see me succeed, or entertain you just yet if you're watching to see me fail. I can't do that anymore. There's 5 weeks left in my first 12-week chunk of this challenge, and there are goals still left to be done. There's weight left to be lost, tasks still to be completed, and I'm getting straight back on it this week to start again and finish this section with all of the goals completed after 12 weeks. How am I going to do this? Right, as soon as I finish filming for today, I'm going to go and sit down and watch my own first 2 videos, the ones where I set out to do this project, all positive and excited, and told myself my goals and my systems. I'm going to take all that back on board, along with the videos that I made on my phone I've mentioned in a later video, which are specifically designed for this purpose. Videos I've taken of me at my most positive, to tell myself at my most negative to get a grip. I'm going to watch those. I'm also going to head over to the Facebook page for this channel, Magicians Level Up, and have a chat with the guys in there that are watching along with me and getting the information that I'm giving you guys and really enjoying the channel. I'm going to watch some of their practice footage, give them some advice, just sort of immerse myself in the whole system and get back into it fully so that this week doesn't ruin everything. That's the plan. So next week's video will be back in full force. I have started work a little bit on adding Matthew Garrett's Ninja Plus routines to the Ninja Rings now that I've got the Shoot Agawa routine and the Joshua Masada routine down, more or less. I won't be learning every single thing on the Matthew Garrett discs like I have done with the others, because there's tons of material on there. It's excellent stuff, but it's over the 4 DVDs. It's been arranged in a manner that sort of resembles shoving everything unlabeled into a cardboard box and shaking it. So I'm going to have to go through it and find the bits that I want to learn that I think will add to the routine. I'm going to make sure I finish that shoot routine and the Joshua Masada routine to perfection for the purpose of getting back into the practice. But then I'm going to add in some Ninja Plus, take out what I want from the other 2 routines, and by the end of the first 12 weeks, have a routine of my own that I'm happy with, that I can polish. We're going to get straight back on the diet as of right now. No messing around with that anymore. And the exercise. I think my back is, I can do this and not go, ow, ow, anymore. So yeah, we're good with that. I'm back. Let's do this. No failure. Back on mission. That was cheesy. Enough of that. Interview. Hey folks, interview time again. Today we have with us someone I've known for a few years, someone who has achieved the goal that I'm trying to achieve of losing at least half his size, and has also achieved a much more impressive goal of winning the close-up championships at the Magic Circle, and has put out a lot of creations over the years that you've bought and have on in your collection. Mr. Dave Loosley, hello.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I reached out to you as soon as you started this, and I was like, if you ever want me or you ever want to chat, then please do. And since then, it's been challenging to get the time. So I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for having me, mate.
Yes, you are a busy man. It's been hard to track you down, but then I've been away gigging as well. It's a curse of
Exactly. Yeah, it's just lining it up, isn't it? But
Mm.
we're here now, so let's chat. I mean, you just told me you lost over 2 stone in weight. That's amazing, mate. Genuinely, that is awesome. Like that's a lot of
It's
weight.
barely
If you
visible, but
no, but how much better do you feel?
oh, great. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the energy that it gives you is yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when we were speaking earlier. Yeah, I had a weight loss journey. I was nearly 20 stone. Well, I was over 20 stone in my mid 20s, and it hit me. I remember coming downstairs to go to work. I'd come out the front door, get into my car, and I've forgotten something. So I just get out the car, go back in the house upstairs, grab what I wanted, and come back down. And that's like the second time when I sat in the car, I was sweating, I was out of breath. I had having these sort of weird pains or aches, in my chest that I just become the norm, and that was a realization where I go, okay, this isn't good. I was only mid 20s and over 20 stone, so it was from that day really. Catch the 5K. I believe you're doing that. That was something I could barely run around the block once, and from doing that, I was able to run 5K. Then I started to get into these Tough Mudder events, and I think it's saying it's important having something to work towards, having that goal at the end.
Mm.
If you part money and you have a date in mind, you've got that commitment. Be it financial and your time, that you go, right, I'm booked out for that day. I've paid money. I'm going to go and do this Tough Mudder. And it was a Tough Mudder style one. It was called the Nuts Challenge over near Red Hill, I think it was. And I signed up with about 4 or 5 of my mates, and I just didn't want to be last. So I ended up sort of upping my training, getting out there, running as much as I could. And when I made it to the finish line, that was a massive goal. And then I just booked another one in, booked a Tough Mudder in. And then I'd have like 5 or 6 of these booked in throughout the year. And because when you go to more of the mainstream ones like Tough Mudder and Spartan races and stuff like that, it's not cheap. It's like £100 a race. So you want to make the most of it, and you start sort of almost working against yourself to try and beat your last time and that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And that went on for many years. So have you set in a goal of a race or something like that for yourself?
Well, listen to what you said there. I mean, I've got the overall goal for the whole year is to lose 7 stone 7 stone 4 pounds, to get down to 16 stone.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have a race set. I have the goal to do the Catch to 5K, although I'm older than you, and heavier than you were. If I start that right now, I will shrink with every step that I run as I crush my knees to death. So
yeah,
that's going to happen more in the second half of the year. But I think
yeah,
the thing that you've done there is you've got your friends with you to give you the bit of peer pressure. And you know what? It's just occurred to me, that's such a good idea. Like 5 or 6 friends for a Tough Mudder to give you peer pressure. I went with 715 people watching me on a YouTube channel I have to do every week for peer pressure. Yours was probably a bit more sensible, if I'm honest.
yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of but that is anytime you start to have that lull, and eating healthy and working out, doing it all at once when you haven't done it, that is a lot of pressure because you've got people looking on. But then that's the days where you do have lulls, because it is natural. You go, actually, I've got that goal. I've got people that are, not relying on you, but you feel like you've got that sort of push. So it is good to have something like that. Um, and after I did the one with my mates, then I started booking them in and doing them on my own to try and sort of get better times and stuff like that. But I think it is important to have a goal, your end goal, like you have got. And you're right, mate. Don't go crushing your legs. I mean, my knees are pretty shot from 5 years or so of doing those races, and because it's the training that goes into it as well. You
Mm.
can't just rock up on the day. But some people do. Some people are, they're made that way. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, still a bit above what my lowest was, but when you become a bit addicted to it when you start seeing the weight drop off and you can get into clothes that you didn't used to get into. I used to have, the goal of being able to wear a super dry t-shirt because, even their double XL is not like a normal double XL. And so I had that as a mini goal. And when I got into the first one of that, I then wanted to get into a smaller size. And, before you realize it, you started actually, I started looking a bit drawn in the face at my lowest weight. I think I got down to something like 14 stone and it didn't really suit me. And then it was just a realization of looking back in the mirror and going, oh, okay, actually, maybe, I need to watch it a little bit or what have you. But it's a personal journey, isn't it? And then when my kids came along, I turned to food because of lack of sleep, really, and started to put a bit of weight back on. But now, I've got the sleep back a bit and I can now start to get out running, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's a continuous journey, but I think it's doing the little changes that make the big difference rather than trying to cut everything in one go and give yourself too much to do, because that would be good for a couple of weeks. You go, oh, I've lost a lot of weight in a couple of weeks, but actually now I can't maintain just eating, I don't know, whatever it is you're doing, protein and no carbs or whatever it is you're doing, because you need that energy. So yeah, it's those small changes rather than trying to jump in and change it all in one go. But I think for what you've lost, mate, it's amazing.
Unfortunately, that whole small change thing would make for a rubbish YouTube channel, so I've got to go for this whole year of chaos.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're doing lots of things. I'm sort of focusing solely within your weight loss. It's the small. I know you're trying to hit it within a year, but doing the eating right with the exercise was a massive game changer. I tried the eating and didn't really do much exercising, and I tried the other way. As soon as you can do the two together, in my opinion, you start to see it really, fall off. But everybody is different, and I'm no fitness instructor or anything like that, and I can't base any of my results on science, right? This is just you find what works for you. So no one take my advice. But I'm just talking from my experience, and you're doing great, mate. So it's clearly working.
Yeah, I've done the same. I've done the eating without the exercise at the moment because of time, but the more thin I get, the easier it is to do the exercise. So it'll balance
exactly
out over the. I remember what you were talking about earlier as well. There was a time about 20 years ago when I succeeded in getting down to 16 stone before I was a magician. And I remember going to some clothes shop and just realizing that I fitted into a standard large and going absolutely mental, buying everything.
Yeah, it is a big thing, because I think when I was growing up, I was always a big child anyway, and I'd see my mates wearing these clothes that I couldn't get into. I'd be double XL, and then you start going, oh, I need to start shopping in these shops where they only make clothes for plus size people, and that's a real sort of oh god, right. So you look at these designer clothes, and even just getting into something like that was a big goal, and no, a big change came for me when I was able to. I think I moved out of home at like 22 or something, 23, something like that, and you got all those home comforts, and now you're in charge of your own food, right? So it's like, I kind of kept going down that route of what I would eat when I was living at home, my parents, that's not good. And that day where I had the realization, I go, well, I can make a change. I'm in charge of what I'm putting on my plate. I'm in charge of what I'm drinking, eating, all that sort of stuff. And if I want to exercise or what have not. And then the changes started to come, but yeah, as I say, I'm no guru in weight loss, but more into magic. Yeah,
you did a great job. You're one of the inspiring ones that's really shrunk since I've known you. So I think you've done a great job.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I do think we might be ever so slightly boring the annoying skinny magicians, though. So let's talk about some magic.
Yeah, we'll talk magic as well. But I know weight loss is part of your journey, isn't it? And it is a big thing. It's hard. It is hard. And I've got friends that can't put weight on. as well. And they're the other side of it, trying to bulk up. But it's everyone has their own
Oh.
journey. Yeah. Poor them.
Mm.
But it is as big a thing for them as it is for us to lose weight, because they try hard to put the weight on, because obviously they want to look a different way or get another clothes or whatever. But yeah.
Speaking of which, as a tip I've never given myself that I've got lined up is that my wardrobe over here next to me is in size order, including 3 or 4 suits at the end that I've never been able to wear and really want to wear on stage. And they're just sitting there looking at me, inspiring me.
Yeah, and you'll get there, and it'll be the best feeling ever when you get into them. Honestly, it will. And I think you'd be surprised at what you can change in 6 months. But by the time you get to your year goal, I think you're gonna impress yourself and everyone else. But, yeah, it's your goal, mate. That I know you've got everyone looking on, but you just got to take your time with it as much as you can.
So while we were setting up, while you were talking to me, and apparently you are big into cabaret at the moment. That's your thing.
Yeah, so I think there's my first ever performances on YouTube at Magic Night, Madame Jojo's in Soho, which I don't know whether it was 2015 or it's around about that time or even earlier maybe. And that was the first time I ever stepped on stage to do cabaret away from my double act partner. And it was the most nerve-wracking time, but it changed my perception of magic. And since then, I've just been hugely into cabaret magic, because that's one of your goals, right?
Yeah, I've done cabaret a lot. I actually quite like my current cabaret show, but I keep describing it as a combat cabaret. It's designed to be constantly fast, constantly funny, and to keep the attention of the lowest common denominator in the audience. Whereas when I spoke to Mark James about cabaret, I was talking about how I want to make it a bit more unique, a bit more me, a bit more of artistic value, add some texture and variety to it.
Yeah. And so where are you with that? Have you made any steps towards that yet?
No, it's not in the channel is broke. I've come up with a system based on a book called the 12-week year, and the year is broken into 4 12-week years, and each section only covers the goals for that bit. So it's like you focus on this lot of the goals for 12 weeks and just that. So it's, although I have broken that quite often and or already done the skin, which wasn't even in the first year, and talked to Mark about cabaret, it's still technically in the second section, the cabaret. But I'm looking for information now that I can use later.
Yeah, I think with cabaret, like, although it's my favorite thing to perform. I love close-up magic and I perform it a lot. But cabaret, you can really do the storytelling, and have a bit more fun, in my opinion. I think the trick-wise for it, I know you're saying you want it to be unique, but I think start with just getting stuff that you enjoy watching and performing yourself. Like the first time the other day, I put a Pegasus Page routine into my show, and it was To Lovecraft by the Jack, and it's just a beautiful, easy sort of introduction for me. I don't do a lot of that sort of mind reading, mentalism, but because in my show I talk about from getting into magic when I was 6 years old to current day, a lot of I come across the book of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I thought, because it's all about imagination and all that sort of stuff. I thought it tied in really nicely with Pegasus Page. So I didn't have a huge script in behind it, but I kind of knew where it would start and end. And the first time I put it was in the show I did a few days ago. I had a whole first half, 45 minutes close up, and a whole second half, 45 minutes was my stand up. So I put it in, and even with minimal kind of patter behind it, just the bare bones, I got huge reactions from it. And straight away, because you could feel it right in the room, you just naturally know that, okay, I needed more intro lines there, needed to say less at this point. And then the payoff was brilliant, So by just having those tricks that interest you and having the opportunity just to do it once or twice, because you know as well as I do, you could perform it in your living room to no one, and you've got all the lines there. But the second you get in front of that crowd, you start to get that energy. You start to pick up and you start to work with the crowd, get lines that you didn't have when you were just practicing on your own. And so my advice would be to pick the tricks and not necessarily do them in a stand-up show. While you're doing close-up, you must have had moments where those 2 or 3 people have turned into 10 or 15, and you are in a stand-up environment without going looking for it. Having that in your bag where you can do your first trick that you know is going to hit, your last trick you know is going to hit, and you go in the middle, I'm going to pop this new thing that I want to try out. And then suddenly you'll start getting the feel for that effect, how that the patter can fall into your stage show, and then naturally it will start to sort of slot in, and you can play with the stage magic before you even have an opportunity to perform on stage, because it is a lot more sort of, it's less opportunity to do stage, I think, in the UK than it is to do close-up. So it's trying to find those moments and capitalize when you're in the close-up environment to go, well, when I am on stage, I've got 20 people here. And I used to throw in, it can be an upsell, but I used to throw in when I was working on my stage at the end of a wedding to do something 20 minutes at the end for everyone. And mainly that was for me, to try and get those effects that I wanted to put on stage sort of working. And like I say, if you know your opener and your closer are strong and you want to try something new, you throw it in the middle. And that's how I've always kind of worked my stage stuff when I've not been booked for stage. Because primarily, as much as I try and promote my stand-up and the cabaret stuff, the close-up is kind of what just keeps, coming my way. So it's just working that, and the Magic Circle as well. I love doing their Friday night shows, and although they're the close-up shows, you've got 25, 30 people. So I very much treat that as a stand-up, and again, it's just opportunities to try and work in that stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's still learning every day with stand-up, but I get really excited about the stand-up stuff.
Absolutely. You mentioned the song that you did with that routine. Is that something you put a lot of thought into music-wise? You like to do music in the stage act?
I love putting music in, and that's a very recent thing. So I went and did a show for magicians. It was a magic convention in Harrogate, and I've always had just the sound guy. So the Magic Circle, wherever I performed, there'd be a sound guy, and you give them the cues. And I would see that these cues would be missing they'd be missing the cues to where I wanted it to be, or I wasn't in control of music. And I know that there are some amazing systems out there, but instead of jumping in the deep end and putting 500 or 600 quid out on, let's say, what's the ape one? I can't remember what that's called.
Oh, Audio Ape.
Audio Ape, or Solo, which I hear is absolutely amazing. I was playing with just a flick button and the mini iPad, and I'm connecting on their sound system, and now I'm in control of all my cues. And the moment that I did that, it said to me, okay, you need more music in your show. So I've got intro music, outro music. I've now got music that I can just sit behind any effect, really, which just has a little bit of background music. And now I've been adding it in and realizing how impactful music can be in the act to create a moment. I did the other day the Henry Harris's Cuban Bottle. I used to speak it a lot, and I found a lovely piece of music, and I thought, you know what, I'll try this. So I did my intro as speaking to set the scene, then I played the music, and it completely changed the reaction that I got for that effect. So yeah, I think music is super important. Do you use it in your show yourself?
I used to have 2 sound cues in there, and I cut them out for speed and efficiency. That's the sort of stuff I'm trying to put back in now. The show that I've got right now works, but it's designed to just work literally anywhere, anytime, straight away. It's got I want to put stuff back into it, make it a bit better, make it more work for me and more impressive for the audience.
Yeah, and it does. It sets the scene perfectly. And like even at the Circle, as I say, in the close-up shows, I have a little Marshall speaker, and I will control that from my phone and from the flick button in my pocket. And it just, again, gives you an intro music, gives you outro music. It sets the scene of the beginning and the end of the show, and it gives you some nice moments in the shows that create that extra bit of magic. It's like magic is obviously it's visual, and you're hearing what the magicians say all audibly. But as soon as you add the music in, it creates that stage. When you go to the theatre, and obviously in a musical you're going to get music, but you've got the visuals, the lights, you've got the sound, all the amazing songs, and that creates that atmosphere. If you strip that out, you've just got a visual, you've got a play, right, which are great, but to try and get all those senses going, I think music is brilliant. But it's finding the right music as well, and that is something I'm quite passionate about. I live with my headphones in my ears when I'm traveling, and I'm always listening to soundtracks, any sort of music that I don't have a specific genre. It will be from rap to classicals, R&B, whatever it is, and it will also be without words, so lots of instrumentals. And sometimes I'll just be listening, and I'll go, no tear tournament sword, paper balls. That is going to sit amazing underneath that. Or it will give me an inspiration. Sometimes you hear a piece of music and you go, oh, Gypsy Fred. And then it might just come from nowhere, but you just, whatever suits you, you'll start spinning out tricks that you could piece. Or I'll slowly bring the thread out at this point, and I love music. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've sort of forgotten over the years of plodding along, which is what this channel's all about, not getting myself out of that rut. I used to do exactly the same thing, listen to music and come up with stuff. And I finally did it again last night, in fact, oddly enough. I was listening to a piece of classical on YouTube, and an entire 10-minute stage routine has just come to me that I've been writing down furiously.
Amazing, right? Because music's emotive, and I think in magic, even when you're creating, even if you don't put music in your show, you can create and get ideas out of music. The pacing of something, whether it's a happy piece, a sad piece, you can get that all from the music, and from that it can inspire tricks. And has many times, I've always wanted to do a ball manipulation act, but not like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, like with some real visual moments. And I've been trying to get this routine down for probably the best part of a year and a half, and I had a piece of music for it, and then I heard this other piece of music 2 days ago, and I've scrapped that first piece because it almost gave me writer's block, because I was performing to that music. And as soon as I heard this other piece, I went, that's perfect. And when it reaches the end of what I had, the music now, it builds, and I go, oh, well, now I can put something else in here. And now that act that was like 2 minutes is now going to be something like 4 or 5 with more visual points, all because I changed the music. So yeah, for me, it has a huge impact on creating a moment, for the audience.
And as if by magic, you gave me a magical segue word there for our next section. I'm going to save the big one till the end. I'm going to talk about your products and creativity. I'm doing this one now largely because I'm going to ask you about creativity. And I've listened to so many podcasts over the years that I know that this is going to be a torturously painful bit where I ask you to give me ideas on how to be creative, and you give me utterly vague and airy answers because it's a stupid question. But we can be a bit more practical here and discuss as well how you actually got your products out, and when you decided to do that, and why you decided to do that, as well as how to be creative. So,
so the whole how to be creative thing, it really can open up a can of worms, because what works for me will not work for you, and vice versa. But I think if being creative is being different, then it's looking at whatever effects you see overly done and going, well, what would make that different to me? Let's take something like cards across. You're going to make 3 cards travel from one side to the other. Well, how are you going to make that different to anyone else that does it? Is it the lines that you're going to say when you do it? Is it the facial expressions? Is it the music you play? Um, are you going to use cards, or are you going to use something else? Are they going to be in the person's hands? You know, and 9 times out of 10, you'll watch it and you'll say he'll put 10 cards in their hand, 10 cards in their hand, and they'll travel across. Well, who's come at that from a different angle is Matt King's version. Straight away will jump to your mind if you haven't seen it. He puts on the cloak of invisibility and he gets the comedy aspect for it. So he's going for the comedy route. So he's going to sit down and look at that from a comedy perspective. How can I get the laughs out of this? And he knows that the payoff at the end is the cards are going to go across. Well, if you're not a comedy magician, how do you play it? Well, maybe you play a really nice slow piece of music and you actually build it in by doing the counting. But why are you counting those cards into the hand? What's the point? Well, yeah, I'm going to make 3 go across, but why? So it's having that underlying meaning. Once you have that, then you can start to create. And if the idea is, I want the 3 cards traveling across to fool magicians, or I want it to happen in the dark, or I want it to happen at a visual moment. So a flash of light happens for each card. And if you start throwing these things out, eventually you'll come to something that is different to what you're seeing. And if that is what being creative is, then it's allowing you to just spurt all these ideas out, of write them all down, and sort of create a map of crap, right? Sorry, I have to say that, but because a lot of this might not work, but actually, if you circle that one, you go, okay, who am I performing it to? A crowd of 50 to 100 people. Okay, great. So I want to play it bigger. What we're going to use? We'll use playing cards. Why? Well, I say that this was one of the first tricks I ever saw, and it was shown to me by my invisible friend. I'm a magician, go figure. Okay, so he showed it to me with his invisible cards. So today we're going to perform it just like that. You counted your 10 cards out. So invisibly, he's going to help me. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm actually quite emotional because today he's actually joined us. My invisible friend, ladies and gentlemen, please give him a round of applause. So, you know, whatever it is you're going to create, you can make it as wacky as you want, as serious as you want. But I do this routine, and I do have an invisible friend come on stage, right? But the moment he's on stage, things start to happen. So you go, people don't believe he's actually here. And I've got a coffee drink, so I'll let him prove it. So he drinks the coffee. Every time the trick is done, he's going to ring the bell, and miraculously the bell rings. So there's extra moments. It's not just the cards going across, it's creating these moments like somebody invisible's walked onto the stage and is there with us, right? Which is a bizarre, crazy thing to do. But hey, that's what the world of magic is. You know, we're creating these moments they can't see anywhere else. So I know I've digressed there massively, but hopefully through spitting some of that out, it shows that you can take a trick that, and even if you perform it the normal way, or you just do the palm cards across, whatever it is, it's now the performance of it which will make it original to you. And you get there by just throwing a load of random stuff on the table. So hopefully some of that was helpful, but if we take,
I don't think you digressed at all there, really. I think I asked you a sarcastic question about being vague about creativity, and you gave me a very practical, good example that made sense.
Good. All right. I get lost up here sometimes, but yeah, I mean, we could take, maybe you don't want to do it here, but we could take one of your tricks that you're comfortable performing, the under fire, like your go-to, and try and make it you by the performance of it. And through that and talking about that, something might come up where you go, method wise, actually, if you do this, that's going to make it more you as well, and I'll make it more practical. Because sometimes, like, I mean, people say, you know, I never create magic to sell it, and you know, you hear this, and a lot of people do. I create magic, and I might put a product out 2 times a year, if that, right? And that's when I'm happy and comfortable that the effect that I've performed was first created for me and has been out and been worked. And then I go, it'd be great to share this, have it manufactured. And sometimes you can get the product made way better when it's manufactured. And so I have to, you know, put it to market, but in turn I get a load of myself that I can perform. So yeah, manufacturing and creating magic. I mean, Peter Nardi's the man to chat to, because he does it every day of the year. But I put a couple out, and for me, it's a lot of work because you then become the person that has to package them, all the items, the person that then has to get them all ready to get posted, label them all up, get them all ready, post them all out. People will be on your back asking you because it's not there within 4 hours. It becomes another job on the side. So I know that the money is in it by self-manufacturing, but the real sort of weight behind the product is when you go with a good company. And I'm not just going to say Alakazam because I work for them, but I've seen behind the scenes how good they are, how they treat you as a creator, and ultimately, yes, it's a business for them, but they do want the best product at the other end. So I believe
very thoroughly already have the Nardis lined up for interview. Trust me.
Oh, brilliant! Well, there you go. There you go. And do get in on those questions, because for yourself, you're not going to be making as many items as they are going to be, right? So their cost price is going to be lower than it would. Like when I put out Molecules during COVID, I had time, right, to make it and do all of that. But my word, if I do that now, there'd be no chance I'd be able to make it. So I've gone back to now releasing through companies again. So I've got a couple of bits coming out with TCC. The new Envision just went out with Alakazam because I want to share these items, but I don't have the time to be able to do it myself, and it will take up a lot of your time. But yeah, it's up to you the sort of route you want to go, really.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in the money or the making it myself. It's more about getting something out there that's decent with my name on it. So it'd be something like Alakazam, I'm sure.
Yeah, and do you have in mind sort of trick that you are that you want to do that with?
There's 3 or 4 things rattling around in my head that I've been doing for years that I've told myself aren't good enough, but might be. So I'm thinking about it, trying to decide whether I'm just being hard on myself or whether they're rubbish.
Well, I think you're probably being hard on yourself, but like anything, you show it to someone and they might have another handling or exit. I mean, you're good friends with Craig, so he's probably got 400,000 different variations of your effect.
Yeah, I showed him one and he added 3 hours worth of project to it.
There you go. And but that's what I love about creating magic is I'm going to look at something completely different to you. You're going to look at something different to Craig and vice versa. And when I'm all about, being collaborative when creating, I think that makes a better product. And if we probably come on to talking about the close-up act I did for the Magic Circle, that was, in my eyes, a collaborative effort because when I was working on a piece, I would send it to 3 or 4 of my closest mates in Magic, get their input and ideas. Joel Dickinson, I've got to give kudos to. He has a really great creative mind, and he would just give me one tiny little difference, and straight away my head would go in a direction I didn't think of. And for the end of that, you then have this awesome sort of end result. So collaboratively is the best way to go when you sort of create a magic. But you've got as I say, you've got a good network around you to throw that out at. And I'm always here at the other end of a phone or tablet. So
good. Got a couple of ideas for things I want to ask you already off camera.
Yeah.
Let's do the big one now. We've got you on as the current Magic Circle close-up champion.
Yes.
And that, on my goals list is at the end of this year I have to enter the close-up competition. The goal on the form officially is enter the close-up competition, but obviously I achieved the goal by entering, but I'm not entering to lose. I would quite like to win. So
yeah, absolutely.
Say your thoughts on that and how you why you entered, when you entered.
Yeah.
I watched your act last night again to refresh myself. It's mad. It's wonderful. It's very can see why it won. It's very original.
Oh, thank you, mate.
I'll let you ramble now.
Thank you, man. Yeah, so right, I will preface this by saying that, you know, I'm not the guru when it comes to entering competitions. I've done a few in the past, and I've won a few, and it's amazing. But you know, for the Magic Circle in particular, I mean, Matthew Lamotte, and I think he's actually offering a course at the moment on it, how to get into the circle. But he knows how to structure performance. So I will give him 100% kudos because it's amazing. But all I can talk about is my experience. Basically, I can't remember the exact date, whether it was 2019 or 2017, around about that time. I entered the first time, and I went in with it was like I took a lunchbox, a school lunchbox in, with Minions on it. And the story behind it was the day that my dad packed my lunchbox, and he messed it all up, and I had to use my imagination to get out of it, pretty much. And that was a fun act, and I just kind of threw it together, put it in. I managed to come third with it, and then a few years went by. Obviously, I then decided I wanted to enter it again and put my stamp on it, basically. And I entered because I wanted to win. And then the process started months and months before I even did the audition. So I needed to work out, what am I going to do? And I thought it was really important to understand the marking criteria, which I didn't do the first time. And so from researching it and from previous ones, there's like 3 lay judges and 3 magic judges. So in putting this together, I know that I need to target towards both the lay and the magicians. So my opener, I wanted to be quick, visual, and snappy. And nothing is more for me than my color changing deck. It's called Mystique, and it happens in stages. So instead of just the deck changing like that, once, it happens in multiples. So there's like 3 changes, and then the box goes. And I use it as an observation game for the audience. I almost put it on them, you know, by saying, before we start, I can't wait to show you what's inside this box. But before we do that, I need to find out how observant you are as a crowd, how hard you're going to make me work. So now I've turned the tables. I'm not doing it as I want you to pick a card trick. I wanted it to be minimal audience having to come up, even though part of the criteria is, you know, audience management and participation and how you deal with them. And so from having it selected from the crowd, I still get the interaction with the guy that I picked. And I'm still ticking that box. I get to create a visual moment of magic to start to show people what I, you know, right out the bat, because you only got 10 minutes. I wanted to, you know, some people went less is more. I went for more is more. I wanted coin magic. I wanted card magic, rope magic. I almost wanted to show, you know, the different styles of magic all within one act, but without crowbarring them in. And this was all sat down. There's all logical decisions of going, what do I want out of this? And just writing it down. So I had the criteria, you know, the marking criteria, and I basically tried to go through and just tick it all. So yeah, the visual cards opener, bang, and then we move into the magic for magicians section, which is the portable holes, the 8 balls, the visual craziness, and then the box kicker at the end. So that was in there because I wanted the magician marks. The opener is in there for the lay audience, even though the magicians enjoy that effect because they're not expecting it to happen 3 times. And then the ending was the rope routine. So I know that the opening and the ending are my bread and butter. Could do them with my eyes closed because I've put the hours in. They're my close-up. At every close-up table, I take the rope routine, and the opener is the cards because it does what it needs to do. It's visual. They can sit back. No one really has to do anything. They can just watch and enjoy the magic. So that was my opener and closer. And I was aiming towards the lay people. And then the middle was the magic section, the real magic for magicians. And
I see you put it on YouTube. All right for me to put a link.
So, yeah, please. Yeah, go for it.
There'll be a link below. Definitely watch the act. It's mad. It's fun. It's great.
Thank you, mate. And yeah, obviously you've got the heightened part on the night as well, knowing that you're in this competition. So I don't generally get nervous, but I was super nervous. My heart was pumping, and I jumped forward because what's really important to this, and I know this sounds really stupid, like I'm teaching to suck eggs, but you hear practice makes perfect, right? And that whole middle section, I was obsessed with it because there's so much happening. In the first, I don't really want to do exposure, but in the first moments or after the card routine, in front of their eyes, I'm having to palm one thing, switch another thing, conceal something else, right in just that moment of bringing out the red bag. So there's lots going on. And to get that smooth and looking like I'm just going to go in and get a red bag took a really long time. So I planned exactly what I wanted to do, or it started as molecules pretty much, because I know it was different, which was the flat round disc, which turns into a flat 8-ball, which turns into a real 8-ball. And then the moment came of, instead of just it happening in my hand, we introduced the straw. And from introducing the straw to inflate that flat 8-ball to a real 8-ball gives a whole new dimension to it and puts me in a perfect position to be able to make that small 8-ball become a big 8-ball. So all these little progressions came from being able to just take the first part of having the flat disc go to a small 8-ball, sending it round to my friends, showing that this is the sort of idea. I want this tiny little disc to become animated. I had one with a dice, and much how you would make, let's say, a cigarette vanish. I could take the dice and make it look like the dice would go just into the flat disc. I had one where the flat disc turned big. I had loads of different moments, a mini change of a mini Rubik's Cube changes, a rubber band freezes in the moment. And these were all bits that were possible, but that got stripped out because the bare bones of it became about these discs. And then there was the moment of realization of me going, well, what if I put this disc somewhere and it becomes real? So I was working on my tie. I put it on my tie, and then a real hole was in the tie. But I don't wear a tie. It didn't really suit me. And then obviously the box was there. So the natural progression was, what if I do at the box? Before I know it, I drilled a hole out in the box and I'm trying to work out ways of doing it. And there was 5 different ways of doing the change where the flat disc becomes a real hole on the box. And none of them really were ticking what I wanted until another conversation happened. And I think Joel Dickinson is an amazing creator. He's not gone off the map because he's actually released a fantastic trick recently, but he's got so much stuff that I want him to get out because he's just amazing. But his way of looking at things is completely different to mine. And so he said one thing, which then again led me to a different thing. And that in turn ended as the end result for the box. So, I will never stand and take full 100% credit for the act. Yes, I devised it, and yes, I know what I wanted, but at the same time, without my friends' inputs and me trusting them, it would have been a very different act. But this is 5 or 6 months in the making to get to that one day, and I'm not kidding you. I probably rehearsed the box a good 150 times. From start to finish, and I filmed every single one. And if I show you some footage of me just literally in my lounge clothes, like there's some trackies and a hoodie from day one of what the box looked like to the end of it, it's completely unrecognizable. And it wouldn't be that if I didn't put the time into it. So every night I would just have the box in the way in one of the rooms so the kids can get to it. And when they went up to bed, I would put it down on the table. I see it twice every single night, And that's the difference between, I think, the potential winning and not. Because on the night, I mean, when I saw the list of who I was going up against, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
I was very glad I didn't enter this year.
Yeah, it's terrifying because, and you know, the kudos to the other acts. Anyone could have won on that night, and yeah, you're very much going with what the judges thought. You know, but Harry De Cruz's act was amazing. It was slick, had callbacks in it. Another amazing creator would be great to have on here. It's super, like just clever and modern in his takes on magic. So yeah, I mean, and then it came to the night, and I was, even if you ask the other acts, even backstage, I was running rehearsals. I was repping as much as I could, even up to the point of going on, and then it was showtime. And at that point, you go, you know, I've done everything I can do to get to this point here now. Let's just go and enjoy it. And as well as magic, I pride myself on just being able to bring some energy. And even, you know, weddings, corporates, wherever I go, you know, the magic's important, but I want them to remember me. So I went out there, just treated everyone as a lay crowd, focus out the fact that there's over 100 magicians upstairs. You know, and I've been up there watching, and sometimes it can be brutal up in that theatre because everyone has an opinion, right? Which is fine, but that is another mindset. You know, you've got all your peers upstairs watching. You've got to try and take that out and just focus. It's another gig in front of you, because you will get that. You'll be stood behind the backdrop when the act in front of you is performing, and it will hit you. You'll become real, that you go, oh geez, wow, this is happening now. There's no going back. And you just treat it like it's another performance, that you're going to go out and have fun, because ultimately that's why we do it, right? Because we want to have, you know, we love magic, we want to share our style, and we just want to have fun. And if you lose, yeah, go on, mate.
For all that practice you're putting on it, I think that's an important factor as well. More equally as important factor is that you went out there and treated it as a gig. I mean, I heard you mention on another podcast, I think somewhere, that some people were mentioning that you were like, you won because you appealed to the lay judges a bit, as a negative. Whereas when I saw you, I sort of said the same thing, but I said it as a positive to you. There's like, magic is the magic and the entertainment together. That is the job of a magician. So I think.
No, I appreciate that. I do. And
I forgot my point, but you get the idea.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, like, that was and I think I said on the other one as well, that was I knew that. I knew that was what I was going for, because I knew that, you know, in the audience on the night it ended up being 2 lay judges instead of 3. But I knew that would have a pull, because there's 2 lay judges. So you'd be silly not to try and get the marks from the lay judges. You know, if it's FISM, I would cut certain parts of the act. They wouldn't be there because they appeal more for lay, especially the rope trick at the end. I mean, it's a shot ball item with my own twists and handlings and ending to it. But ultimately, I'm not going to go and put that in a FISM act, because number one, it's not mine. Number two, anyone can get their hands on it. So a lot of the FISM stuff is unique, created for that sort of environment magic. And so, yeah, it's knowing, like I said earlier, it's knowing how you're getting marked, who's marking you, and what the criteria is. And then you devise your act to that, because there's no point in doing a wicked act, but it's not ticking any of the boxes. Because then it's just another performance, right? But you're absolutely right, yeah. And, you know, I'll take that. You know, I get coined as the nice guy, you know, the happy magician, whatever it is. But ultimately, if you strip back and you watch it if you watch my act in silence, you're still going to see really technical magic. You know, even from the first coin production to it looking like the coin's getting sucked into the black hole. The black hole being placed on the bag, the manipulation of the 8 balls. There's a lot of sleight of hand there, You know, even
Yeah,
with the rope trick at the end.
if this video edits without any technical problems like it normally does, and he'll probably be going out tonight on tonight's video, in which case you'll probably be alongside a little mini rant from me about a Facebook post that went up earlier this week. No criticism to the post because it was a conversation starting post, but it was like the traditional what's more important, magic or entertainment? Don't cop out and choose one or the other, or say both. But the answer is both, as far as I'm concerned. It absolutely is both. You have to do strong magic or you're not a magician. You have to be entertaining or you're not a performer. It has to be both. And
Absolutely.
you were both.
Yeah, thank you, mate. And you know, that comes a lot from my childhood. I absolutely loved drama and performing arts. You know, I went and did out of school, I went to college, I did a national diploma in performing arts, which I wasn't aware was singing and dancing until I started the course, because I was there for the acting. But hey, you know, it all became part of it.
3 years of drama school, and I managed to avoid every dance class for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I didn't. See, I needed to learn from you on that one. But from that, taught me so much, you know, about staging, the structure of a show. And also, I'm a lover of performing arts myself, and I love musical theatre. I love going to watch shows, and I'm a huge fan of being drawn in to a storyline, and then at the end going, "Oh my God!" Like that was just an experience. And then I dissect afterwards. How did they draw me in? Oh, they had this beautiful piece of music and this monologue, and you got drawn into the person. And by the end of it, you love the characters because of the way that they made you feel. And that is the same in a magic act, you know, especially if you're coming on as I love going on and doing variety shows. When I come on, I treat my section as a show, a beginning, middle, and end. So my music will be the beginning of my show. My opening trick is the punch. Even if I'm last on, I'm closing. You know, when I did the Harrogate show, the first half was 45 minutes of 5 different magicians, you know, and there was some amazing magic. Oliver Table was doing doves. There was just some amazing magic. So when I came on, I already know they've seen a huge show, but my mindset has to be, right, it's now my show. So my opener still needs to be like they've never seen any magic tonight. My middler needs to be engaging, and my ending is going to be my big finale. And so with that, again, talking with the music and that, and the thread that runs through it of the storyline, now I go out there and I create a show, and a lot of that comes from the performing arts days of knowing how to stage something and structure, and it comes with time. And it's never too late to do that. There are still like amateur dramatic classes that happen every day. So if you feel that it's a part of your act that might be missing, or you want to get character building, those things are still available. And maybe it's knowing that your character is actually like a Jack D style character, and you play it down, or you know, you've got a lot of energy, so you want to play it up, and there's no right or wrong. It's trying it all, you know. So
cool. I have a boring technical question for you because it's one of my weak points. At what point in your rehearsal and creation of the act did you start to focus on the timing for the competition? Because I am terrible at that. When I did the Bear Pit at Blackpool the night before, I ran through everything. I was like 17 minutes, and it's supposed to be 7. Just very, very bad at sensing how long I've on stage, keeping to time. Any tips on that?
So timing was... It's a fantastic question, mate, actually, as timing was one of those things that I was over a lot. And what you need to do is work out what it is you want. I got a little, I thought it was over there, actually. I've got a little green, like egg timer. And I would set it to whatever it was. So 10 minutes, let's say. And I would do my first trick. So first off, you need to work out your tricks, because you can limit down by cutting words, right? So I think the first time I recorded it and timed the whole thing, it was something like 13 minutes. And I go, oh my gosh, like that's far too long. 3 minutes is far too long. So I recorded it, right? So I could watch it back. And that's when you watch your back with pen and paper. And as painful as it might be watching yourself back, you go, I was
Getting used to it.
Yeah, yeah. It gets easier. It gets easier. But from doing that, you could go, oh, I was waffling there. I don't need to say that. Actually, I can say that phrase. I can't say it clearly. I can say that phrase in way less words. If I was to reword that and want it to be shorter, how would I reword it? And from doing that, I then recorded it again, and it got down to like 12 and a half minutes. And I go, oh my God, okay, I need to now look at moments of effects to cut out. And there were 3-4 moments of effects that I cut from it, because I still needed the bare bones of what I was saying, of the script. Because if you listen to the script, it's very precise and leads into the next trick. So you don't feel like I'm going, here's another trick. You know, to lead into the Play-Doh trick, I mean, you go, well, how are you going to jump from doing that to Play-Doh, turning Play-Doh to cheese? Well, that was based on a true story, but I still need that link. Perfect, because the whole thing's about imagination. I go, well, that's my imagination. We've used the audience imagination. That makes sense. I can talk about my son. He's got this crazy imagination, and straight away there's my link into that effect. And then I go, well, how do I link that now into my rope routine? What is the rope routine? What's the patter behind it, or the story? Whereas when I went to Covent Garden, I remember seeing this guy do this rope routine, and it sort of reiterated to me there, I want to be a magician. This is what I want to do. Well, how do I link now my son's creativity into that? Well, I know that he goes on about this blimmin' Play-Doh trick all the time. So I used to go on about that rope trick. So now I have a link there. I go, oh, this is now that core trick for my son. And it got me thinking, what was that trick for me? Straight away, I've got a transition now. And now I can go into, when I was 13 years old, I was taken to Covent Garden. And so being able to find that script is the hardest thing, cutting it down and taking little bits out that you probably don't want to take out, but actually is just refining it down. If you film it and you're happy with it and you're a minute over, I guarantee you, by sending it to Craig or to myself or anyone else, that there'll be little bits of waffle or little bits that don't need to be said, or can be said in 2 or 3 less of words, that will allow you to get to your end point. And that's where it comes down to really putting the time and the care into the act, because I was at 9 minutes, and there was a whole thing that you know, the straw that goes through the box, that moment, along with the cards that then has the hole in there, all of that was done to music. And it was like a cartoony, right? Because obviously the inspiration was cartoons. And that took, for me, a hard one to cut it. But from watching it back, I go, there's no emotional, there's no connection, and there's no build up for that straw going through the box. And a key point to that, was before, when I found out I was in the competition, months ago, I planned, right, the competition is going to get looked at. I need to submit the video on this day. If I get it, I want to be able to run the act in at the Magic Circle on a Friday night show 2 weeks or so before the actual night. And when I did that, and I did exactly that, it went to plan. You know, I got in, brilliant. I've got the act ready to go. I get a date 2 weeks before. I go and do it, and the hole didn't get reaction I thought it was going to get. The 8 balls didn't get reaction I thought it was going to get. And I just you know, with the friends there, I remember Liam said to me, you just need to frame those moments. And that's all he said. It was like, you need to slow down and frame the moments, because they're very magical. And I'm very much in a headset space of trying to get from A to B in 10 minutes, right? But actually, it's 100% right. So I took it, I refilmed it, And I said, now I need to just pause at these moments a little bit more. And those moments were what become me then going, I'm going to cut music. Because I did it to the music on a night, got no reaction really, got home. So now I restructured it and reworded it. And it was about, the realization that imagination can only take you so far. We can't jump into a portal to another dimension. But that's when reality hit, and when I was introduced to magic to create that feeling. So tonight we can't go to another portal, but I can create a cool trick with a straw, a box, and now suddenly it's bringing that to an end rather than just a piece of music. And sometimes music can enhance, like we were saying, and other times it's not needed. Words can be stronger, and so ultimately, all of that, probably over a 4 or 5 month period, accumulated to that one night, ready to go. And I could have just not booked in that session, those shows 2 weeks before, but I think it was detrimental that I did, and it would have been a different act. But yeah, I don't want to bore everyone with rambling. I've been going on for probably an hour now, but yeah, a lot of thought went into it, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's really good information, Dave. Thanks. This is about an hour we're going. That's pretty good going. I've got lots of information out of you, and that is the point of the channel. These interviews here are not concerned with the beginnings of your origins in magic and your life story. You are here to be viciously mined for useful information, and I think we've tons of stuff out of you. Before awesome, you go, man. Have you got any public performances, any products, anything that you're doing, and that you can push?
Yeah, so you'll be seeing some public stuff next year. I can't say anything about that yet, but next year we'll see that. Other than that, I've just done a public show a few days ago. I've got a couple of lectures coming up and a load of private stuff. But public-wise, it'll be, if you're on my email list, so you go to daveloosleymagic.co.uk, join my email list there. And that's where you'll get the heads up. Got a couple of bits coming out with TCC Magic. We're finalising one of them shortly, and then the other will probably be out either late this year or early next year. And a couple of bits again with Alakazam. So yeah, I love magic. I love creating. I'm always here at the end of a chat. So if you need any advice or help or anything like that, when I can, I get on them and I answer them. So yeah, as I say, I'm not the be all and end all, but I still got passion for magic as I did when I was 6 years old. So yeah, thanks for having me on, mate, and good luck with all the goals. And you know where I am if you need me.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks a lot. We'll let you go.
Take care, mate.
See you, man. Oh my God, it's here. The moment has finally arrived. Maximum Entertainment 2.0. I have put off the review of this book, or forgotten to film the review of this book, so many times over the last few weeks that right now there is literally nothing so wise or insightful that I could possibly say that could justify the amount of time I've spent building up this review. Luckily, it's Maximum Entertainment 2.0. It doesn't require a lot of build-up. Everybody knows this book. It is one of the Bibles of magic. So let's just review it, let you know what's inside here, so that the 3 or 4 of you who haven't got it can go out and get it. Maximum Entertainment, and now at 2.0, are by Ken Webber, an American businessman and mentalist with years of theatrical experience. At some point, while lecturing at the Psychic Entertainers Association convention, he decided a good idea would be to review on stage the performances from all the shows the night before. His peers at the time thought this was a terrible idea that was going to get him a lot of flack from the people he was reviewing, but it turned out they really appreciated the review from the audience perspective. He then went on to do this for many acts over the years and repeat it at the conventions, but he apparently cannot quite find the time to sit and watch every living magician and mentalist act and break down the details for you and review it. So he wrote this, a guide to analysing your own stage show and improving every aspect of your performance. Straight off the bat, one thing you're not going to find anywhere in this book is any tricks to learn. This is not a magic book, this is a magic theory book. As it says on the cover, this is director's notes for magicians and mentalists. This is one person's expert advice on sitting down and watching your own show on video or with someone in the audience helping you out and analysing every detail of your show to make it better. You're not going to learn any magic in here. After a fairly lengthy introduction, Ken goes on to discuss his hierarchy of mystery entertainment. This is where every possible magic effect is either a puzzle, a trick, or an extraordinary moment, and we should be striving to use showmanship skills to raise tricks up to an extraordinary moment, or raise a puzzle up to a trick, and not trivializing these moments ourselves in performance and lowering them down. He also in this section discusses the concept of magic for magicians, how most magic is designed for you to perform to people who are interested in magic and perform magic, and you really need to pare away this stuff in your show and only perform magic that's designed for your audience to appreciate. The next chapter discusses Ken's big 3 reactions, how every moment in your show that's not a necessary instruction like pick a card or stand over here should elicit one of 3 reactions: rapt attention, laughter, or astonishment. If there are any moments in your show that aren't an instruction or one of those 3 big reactions, it needs to be gone. Following that is a large section called the 6 Pillars of Entertainment Success. Ken's 6 pillars are mastering your craft, communicating your humanity, capturing the excitement, controlling every moment, eliminating weak spots, and building to a climax. Over the next chunk of the book, all 6 of these are broken down as a fundamental pillar to entertainment success. The book obviously goes into much greater detail, but obviously these are mastering your craft, making sure you actually know how to do what it is that you do on stage, communicating your humanity, giving a little bit of yourself out to the audience so you're not just a robot on stage performing tricks, capturing the excitement of the moment in the moment, really expressing the excitement of the magic yourself so the audience can feel it, controlling every single aspect of your stage show at all times, making sure that you're in command, taking out every little bit of weakness in the show, to hone its perfection, and make sure your show builds up to a climax. Sprinkled throughout the book are Ken's personal entertainment highlights, small stories of shows that he's seen personally that illustrate a point throughout the book. Chapters 5 on scripting and rehearsal, and chapter 6 on choosing your material and developing your act are very interesting, obviously discussing why you should write down your script, rules for rehearsal, what material to choose, and there are case studies on the material section for illustration of the points. The next large chunk of the book gets into the minutiae and details, discussing your appearance, how to dress on stage, your voice, language, using the right words. There's a section on how to be funny. I don't believe you can teach someone how to be funny, but this is more little practical points that make sense. And then a huge section on sound and lighting, microphone use, sound systems, using music in your shows, getting the lighting right. This is a very detailed section. From there, it goes on to discuss everything, really. There's a section on close-up magic, where I don't believe, from memory, was in the first book. The majority of this book is applicable mostly to stage performers. You could adapt some of it to apply to close-up magic, but there is a small section here on the second version for close-up magicians. Chapters on mentalism, on the silent acts, on dealing with spectators, things you should do before and during and after your show, analysing your show after the performance, and finally a section on how to give and receive criticism so that you can do this for other people and they can do it for you, and you can work on each other's shows together. In the spirit of giving a fair and honest review, and also in the spirit of the book, I consider this a show and I'm analysing it like a director. If there's any cons to be given to this book, it's maybe that the introduction is basically 35 pages to 40 pages that amount to, hello, my name is Ken Webber, I watch shows and analyse them, and now this book will tell you how to do that. There's a lot of waffle in that first 35 pages. The section on microphones, myself and quite a lot of people in the Facebook group are in agreement. It's very much Ken's personal opinion that we should all be using handheld mics, and he kind of went on a crusade about that in the book. I think it's a slightly old-fashioned viewpoint. I certainly would like to know and do know how to use a handheld mic, but I don't think it's an absolute necessity in this day and age with modern technology. Some of it can feel a little bit authoritarian, telling you to dress smartly and wear a handkerchief and stuff like that. It's a little old-fashioned in places, but this is a much updated version. These are tiny minor criticisms just for the sake of having something to say, really. This book should be on every magician and mentalist shelf. Maximum entertainment, 2.0, Ken Webber. Go get it. Oh, thank God it's finally done. Oh. Next one is Designing Miracles, Darwin Ortiz. Audiobook. Nice. We'll cover that one in 2 weeks. That's your lot this week, folks. Come back next week for a brighter, shinier, more positive NEM than ever before. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your goals if you're working along with me. See you next week.